Hello, everyone. You're listening to Fitzdog, and today we have possibly one of our most interesting and boring guests, Mr. Kyle Gass.
That's Fitzdog Radio, and you just heard a little teaser from my guest. Probably, I'm going to take the former and not the latter description of yourself. One of the most exciting and interesting guests in a long time, and I'll tell you why. Because he's what L.A. is really all about. He's what underground. He's got credibility. You know my friend from formerly with a little band called Tenacious D.
Formerly?
Are you guys still working together?
Well, we're going into the studio tomorrow.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, but that's so far off in the future.
I know. What, tomorrow?
Tenacious D, still recording, still touring, you guys don't make movies as Tenacious D, but you do movies together, Mr. Jack Black and yourself.
We have.
So you're getting Jack Blacked tomorrow. You're going to black it down. And you also know him from his new band, Trainwreck, which I have listened to only recently.
Yeah.
And I like it, and I'll tell you why I like it. I love Leonard Skinner. I love Marshall Tucker Band. I like the Allman Brothers.
That's it.
And you guys are taking it, and you're throwing 2010 at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We'll put a new spin on an old situation, but keeping the classic rock vibe. And
California, I'm not a fan of the LA-based bands. Other than Red Hot Chili Peppers, all of them can go fuck themselves. The ones that are straight up.
Whoa.
And I'm not talking about the satirical, ironic, dry bands.
Yeah. Can you name names? Name names.
Well, all of that, even like Welcome to the Jungle, all that shit. Anything that requires hairspray before they begin performing can suck it. I just don't like it.
Did you really just go back 25 years?
All right, let's go more recently. You name a few. I'll tell you what's wrong with them.
I don't.
Exactly.
Know.
And you're from here. You're part of it. That's why you're downtown. You're underground. But seriously, I mean, the reason why you do what you do, because Tenacious D was can I say a parody band, or do I have to say it was a satirical band?
I would say closer to satirical. I don't know, when you say parody, then I get in kind of a Weird Al world.
Yeah,
that just seems
who's worse than Weird Al Yankovic in that genre?
Who's worse?
I
don't know, Dr. Demento?
There you go. Well, he's sort of the den mother.
But doesn't Weird Al, doesn't he take it to a whole level that you go, I can't believe he's getting all those details right.
And have you met him?
Yeah.
Greatest fucking guy in the world.
Greatest guy in the world. You can't say anything bad.
No. It's like Carrot Top. Have you met Carrot Top?
Have not.
He is such a great guy. Scott something. And here's what's sad about it. When they had a roast where Carrot Top, they weren't roasting Carrot Top, he just was there.
Yeah.
And people spent more time shitting on him than anyone else, and it hurt him. You know?
Well, yeah.
Because he wasn't aware that people felt this way towards him to that extent.
I'm always surprised how good of sports people are on those.
Yeah.
I mean, shouldn't people be mortified with people ragging on them? I actually just turned 50, and I sort of kicked around maybe doing sort of a faux roast.
Of yourself?
Of myself.
With
just my friends.
So you would ask it. You would bring it on yourself.
Well, no one is dragged to the roast, are they?
No, but you're opening the door to an ass kicking.
Yeah, you're opening the door. Wow. And why would you do that? And of course, I quickly dispense with it.
Some people cut themselves with glass.
Got drunk as usual.
You know, what's the song?
Was Mr. Roast there? What's Mr. Roast?
Jeffrey Ross, the Roast Master General. And then here's what's interesting, though.
Did he have a career before? I don't remember.
Jeffrey Ross?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I started with him in New York, and he was a guy who always had
greatest guy
credibility among his peers.
Yeah.
And then he moved out to L.A., and he was always a guy who was very inside.
Yeah.
You know, he was a guy who everybody knew and put in projects, but he never really had his own project. And he didn't really work the road like a road comic would. So he was kind of completely unknown.
Yeah.
But funny and well-liked. So then the roast came along, and, you know, I was in the Friars Club in New York for a long time.
Oh,
and
really?
And I was... See, my dad was a big deal he was a big radio guy in New York.
Okay.
Irish, 100% Irish, Bronx Irish.
Yeah.
That's his persona on the radio. And then he joins the Friars Club, which is a bunch of old Jews who work the Catskills.
Right.
And he loves them, and they love him. And all of a sudden, it goes from an all-Jew club to, hey, Bob Fitzsimmons, let's make him the scribe.
Yeah.
So now he's on the board. He's got like an old Roman name, and he's the guy in charge of the newsletter. And, you know, he entertains. He had a St. Patrick's Day party that was the event of the year at the Friars Club, where everyone from New York City came in, and he'd have step dancers, and everybody got drunk. And, I mean, my dad was a fixture at the bar. So anyway, I grew up there. I mean, I watched everything from the 1980 Olympic victory hockey team to the OJ chase. I mean, big moments. I proposed to my wife at the Friars Club.
Wow.
Now, Jeff Ross comes along, and they didn't know him growing up. They didn't see him as a kid. They didn't watch him bomb early on at you know, little in-house events. Jeff comes in a polished, set-up punchline type, old-school Jewish comedian, and he is taken in like a fucking, like an orphan who's a star running back.
Yeah.
You know, when you know you can adopt him, but you're not going to have to pay for college? Like that. Now, all of a sudden, he's asked to do the roasts, which is what I dreamed of. All I wanted to do was one of the big roasts.
Really?
Never asked me. All of a sudden, Jeff is not only doing them, he's killing it. Killing it.
God.
He's the new roast master general. And meanwhile, I'm sitting in the audience watching. With comedy blue balls.
Yeah.
And they're all coming off stage, hugging me. Freddie Roman, Mal Z. Lawrence, Dick Capri, Stewie Stone. Hey, Greg, how you doing, kid? How are you, kid? I'm not a kid. I'm fucking 28. I got 3 Letterman appearances, a half-hour special on Comedy Central, and a development deal. How about give me a little taste? No, Jeff Ross is getting it. He's not just a taste. They pull the trow out. He's face deep in the trow at the Friars Club.
You had to have had your opportunity, though.
You know what I did? 4 years ago, at the age of 40.
Oh, man.
Kyle?
Yeah?
It's like, you know how you could have fucked Farrah at the end?
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
I know.
And by the end, after she died. Yeah, exactly.
Timing is everything. Yeah, you're too late to board that train, and then the train leaves without you.
You could date Valerie Bertinelli right now. And you should.
Wait a minute.
Yes, you should.
Didn't she just go on a Jenny Craig?
Oh, maybe you can't. I'm sorry, maybe you can't.
Yeah.
I thought she was still fat.
But
that would be like, didn't Kyle Gass's hair grow back? And all of a sudden, girls are like, you can't get him. You can't get him. Right now, people can get you.
I know.
Can I get a bottle of water, Chuff? Thanks. That's our star producer, Mike Chaffee. Does a fantastic job.
We had a wonderful pre-interview.
Did you?
Where he told me that...
Got a little AC also, Mike.
Yeah.
Hot as shit in here.
He told me just straight up that he's a nerd.
Well, that's what I hate.
Say, you know what?
That's what I hate. You know what I hate? The
Comic-Con?
glorification of the nerd. Well, I don't mind Comic-Con because those are people that are going somewhere, and it's insular.
Right.
They're there, and it's their own thing. What I hate is the crossing over of the nerd into mainstream, which is fine, but not remaining a nerd. Brian Posehn was my guest earlier this week. We talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
We also have, Chris Hardwick, who has a show on G4.
Yeah.
Funny guy. Always did good at stand-up. Now, all of a sudden, he's the biggest fucking thing in town because the geeks love him.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm not knocking him, but hey, nerds not allowed.
I never knew he was that smart.
Hardwick?
Yeah.
He's very smart.
Yeah. I mean, the guy he must be like a technical genius or something.
Well, I don't think he's the guy who can get into your hard drive and reconfigure it. I think he's the guy who understands when they explain to him what they did.
Right.
You know how, like, the tech guys get on the phone with you and they're, like last night I was on the phone with tech support because my surround sound was not connecting to my cable, and so we weren't and the guys, I go, look, just tell me red plug out, blue thing here.
Right.
He's explaining to me why and how.
So he's the liaison from the layman to the technical.
He's the liaison.
He's the liaison.
Yes.
And there you have it.
By the way, speaking of which, you created a sniglet as who's the guy on HBO who used to do sniglets? Fuck you, Kyle Gass. Don't pretend you don't know. You're a nerd.
Sniglet.
Sniglet was the creating of new words from two other words.
Oh.
Do you remember that guy?
Yeah. What was that guy's name?
If you know the answer,
Shanley?
send it. No, send it to @GregFitzShow on Twitter.
The next metaphor guy.
And I'll announce it next time. No, he's a comedian.
Yeah.
But he made a lot of money with that shit.
I know. He was a machine.
But your sniglet, Mr. Gass.
Yeah.
Please explain it.
When I combine words?
Yep. You had one before the show when you put your headphones on. You were talking.
I did. What was it?
You said it was earbation. Which was
yes.
You were listening to yourself on the microphone and you enjoyed it.
Earsturbation.
How did it feel?
Oh God, it still feels great, and I have nothing to say, but I just want to hear myself talk. And oh God, I love it.
Kyle.
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
What? Oh, Greg.
Tell us a little bit about the projects you have coming up.
Well,
and could you chew gum more just to bring the broadcast quality of this podcast down even lower?
You know.
Sounds like I'm interviewing a hooker.
You just might be. In a way, I am. You want to hear about Trainwreck, my new band that's been out 8 years, Greg?
When I say new, I mean I listened to it for the first time prepping for the interview.
So it's new to you.
New, but with a strong future.
I love that. We've been working on that strong future for a while. What? Why are
There's the answer, but don't say it, because now I want people to write in at Greg Fitz Show and tell me if you know the name of the Sniglets guy. Now back to you, Kyle.
Yes. Trainwreck's just a kick-ass rock band that fights for every inch of what they achieve.
But it's straight up. I mean, with Tenacious D, there was an element of I think we landed on satire, but this is a band that has roots in that Southern style.
Yep.
Not afraid to fucking give the lead guitarist a couple minutes to find a little playfulness. And
that is true. But you know, we do adopt aliases on. We're character driven.
And what is your alias?
My name is Clip Calhoun.
Nice.
And we have like John Bartholomew Shredman is our designated guitar guy.
Sweet.
Boy Johnny, the cutest boy in rock and roll, on bass, and Daryl Lee Donald, lead singer.
How do you spell Daryl Lee?
Daryl.
Oh, Daryl Lee.
Lee Donald.
A lot of use of the word Lee as middle names in the Deep South.
Yeah, what is that?
Lee Harvey Oswald. Oh, no, that was first. John Lee Hooker.
Yeah.
Black guy.
Yeah, I think it's from General Lee.
Do you know that anytime an African-American, it comes out of my mouth on the air for some reason, I go, black guy. It's like my running thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's not necessary. We don't need to know that.
I need a hook.
Talk about coming up La Brea.
Coming up to La Brea, and I have to apologize. I was about 9 minutes late for my own show. Not unusual.
Yeah.
And I come off the 10, I got 35 minutes to get here from the 10, which you know is about a mile and a half.
Yeah.
And then I hit just tail light city. So I suck it up because I see this construction ending up above. So I suck it up to there, and then I'm gonna zigzag it. So I decide I'm gonna make my next left to zigzag it.
Yeah.
So I take the liberty. Now in LA, if you know it well, there's a center lane which changes directions you're supposed to be faced every 50 yards. In other words, it's a left-hand turning lane, but it alternates for the northern traffic and the southern. Not for me. Didn't alternate.
No.
It stayed north. And I noticed I don't need to make a left. I'm flying up La Brea. Police officer at the muffler place doesn't see me. Hang a hard left. And then it was zigzag town, just up and over and through. And
Is it me? I feel like a law-abiding citizen, and yet I'm always terrified of cops, and it's probably very common, but that I must be doing something wrong. There's so many things to do wrong now. You could not wear your seatbelt. You could talk on your cell phone.
Yeah. You could not be talking to the microphone.
You could. And I don't...
Could it be left over from teen years where you were actually drinking underage and things like that?
I think if you've ever been stopped by a policeman, you realize they're not there for community outreach like they always say they are. What is that all about, too?
No,
cops are like, we want to get closer to the community.
Yep.
What? No one wants to get close to you. What are you going to do for them?
Yep. I know. Believe me.
I was arrested, though.
For?
Possession of a controlled substance.
And why was it controlled, in your opinion, this substance?
Because it was a powdery substance.
So you were out of control with this substance.
I was, but just for a few weeks. And let me tell you, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. Yeah, what? I puff a little bit. I'm me, okay? I need to relax. What? And I went through this phase where I thought, wait a minute, I need inspiration.
Yeah.
Greg.
How old were you when you decided this? Because I love it when people have managed to avoid the pitfalls of teenage substance abuse and the early 20s getting locked into something that they can't get their career on track. You grew up in California.
Yeah.
You were obviously confronted with this and made it through. And I love it when guys get older and then they fucking go down with it.
Well, here's what it was. I thought, wait a minute, Sigmund Freud, he raved about this powdery substance. And I think he got a lot done. And he's an iconic figure in the world of science and psychology, a breakthrough guy. If I'm able to do it very controlled, just a small amount at a time, maybe this could unleash the genius that I know is there.
And you weren't afraid of addiction.
Yeah, I really was. But I got caught in that thing of like, no, I'm going to be that guy who's able to just use it.
Well, let me just interject with, look, I was out of control with that controlled substance, and when I say that, I was using it. I hate that they use the label controlled substance as if you're out of control if you're using it. That's why they have to control it. Not true. I was not a cokehead. You didn't see me with white circles around my nose all the time.
Right.
But literally from the age of 15 to the age of 24.
Wow.
I had intervals of enjoying the white powder. And not once did I feel like, oh my God, I'm going to have to suck a dick for more of this stuff. At no point did I feel like I can't stop, I can't focus. It was more like, first of all, being broke helps not getting addicted because you need money. And so for us, it was like once in a while, me and my buddies could pool enough cash to pick up, a gram. So there's three of us on a gram.
Yeah.
And, you drink a few beers. That keeps you going all night. And then you drink yourself down from it. And it's not a great morning, but, that's what keeps you from doing it the next day.
And you go, wait, I'm in my 20s. It's crazy. I'm supposed to be crazy.
It's crazy.
But then you're saying, wait a minute, as a middle-aged man, and we can say
that's the first time you tried it as a middle-aged man?
No, I did it.
How old were you when you got caught?
This was like last year.
No!
Yeah.
Wait the fuck
No, here's
minute.
the thing. I swore it off. No, I was
so you
smart
had
guy.
tried it earlier in your life.
I had those phases, outside of college. And like you say, a gram, 3 guys, the beers, whatever. Very lightweight. And I thought, no, this is no good. And you get to that stage of like, wait, this is not right. It's not not even working.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm nervous. I don't need anything to make me feel more nervous.
And let's be honest, a third of the time you're snorting a Black Beauty, which is all speed.
Yeah, exactly. But then I was just in this phase of like, I think I just want to try it again. I just want to experiment. And then, of course,
it. Maybe I missed it.
Yeah. Or maybe, and then, of course, the universe provides like the purest stuff ever.
Yeah.
The guy that prides
President
himself...
Bolivia just hands it to you.
So, yeah, almost of like, no, it wasn't cut with speed. Oh, this guy prides himself on the thing. Okay, this is perfect. And it's really felt like nothing I'd ever...
Yeah.
Because you're right. Back in the day, it was like, what is it, baby powder and speed and whatever. And so naturally, I'm just really, this is so, I'm really onto something here. Why am I texting this person all night? Because I have something meaningful to provide.
Yeah.
Why am I chatting? This is all good. I feel completely creative and wonderful.
You're lucid and you're motivated.
Yeah. Yeah, just by using this tiny sub that I'm in control of.
Yes.
No, I'm not. No, like you say, I'm not running around like a maniac. I'm not sucking whatever to get more.
Say it, Kyle. Okay. You whispered. That's even actually gayer.
So then I just decide I need a crazy weekend in Las Vegas. My friend Pat, let's go to Vegas right now, Saturday morning. Oh man, this is going to be good. I took the total... I called it like the junior Hunter S. Thompson kit, which is like for me, like I'm really not, like I said, I'm not that guy. I smoked a little weed on the way there. I had like a half of a what do you call them?
A gram?
No, I just had a little tiny like rock of it.
Yeah.
And then I had like a Valium or something.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? Just
so you felt like, I got a medicine chest on me right now.
Now I'm rolling. I'm doing good. Pulling into the Burbank airport. Busted. Oh my God, I'm thinking, wait a minute. Even though I'm not that guy, I appear to be that guy right now.
Yeah.
Out of control.
You morphed into Hunter S. Thompson in 10 minutes.
I did, even though I don't really have anything. And then all of a sudden, for expired tags. That's why he's pulling me over. Smells at something going on in the car.
You'd been burning one on the way.
Yeah. Which is not smart. So he's like, well, is there anything else in here? And then I completed. But then I reverted back to how I really am, which is like, I confess everything.
No. Yeah.
There's some in there. And of course, he couldn't find it.
Wait, he hadn't found the coke?
No.
I'm sorry, the white powder? And you led him to it?
Yeah. No, he had because I panicked.
Whoa.
And I'd done a couple rails that morning, so I was kind of like flying. And he looked me right in the eye. He's like, have you done any today? Like, absolutely not. What are you kidding? It's like 9 a.m.
Yeah.
There's no way. But, so then, they searched the car, find a little bit, and then I get like a felony.
So if you earlier had made up the word earbation, I'm going to call this bustbation.
This is bustbation.
You pleasured the police officer.
What? Oh, he was in pleasure. Yeah. And then he pretended. I mean,
wait. So tell me exactly. Just run me through this again. So he smells the pot. He pulls you over. You're nervous. You give over the pot, and then I missed the jump from him.
He's like,
cocaine.
if you don't tell me everything that's in this car, I believe that he bluffed. He said, I'm gonna take this car apart and have dogs sniff anywhere.
In which case, he would have gotten what you're giving him for free.
Right.
There's no bigger penalty for bringing the dogs in.
Well, no,
it's the same penalty.
Well, yes, but he had me. I'm not used to that. I'm a clean. I've never been arrested.
He was playing bad cop. There wasn't even a good cop.
No, he got the jump on me and totally bluffed, and he knew how to do it. And then all of a sudden, I was just giving myself up.
Yeah. So you said, rather than put you in a bad position, officer, rather than making you exert more energy, let me prevent that and hand you the felony substance?
Had convinced me that I would actually be in more. It sounds crazy now.
Yeah, I know it does.
In the rearview mirror, but like I said, I wasn't in my right mind, and he got the jump.
Well, and the rearview mirror was in your lap, in his defense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get brought in, you get photographed, you get fingerprinted.
The whole thing. Yeah.
Pants down, anal?
No, none of that. And they did let me use my cell phone. Doesn't that seem a little odd?
For your one call?
Yeah. Or I think I could look at my number. I don't think they had to.
Wow.
But it was the longest 4 hours. Now, my friend who was with me...
4 hours, that's until you got bailed out.
Yeah. Now, my friend, who's such a good friend that before he bailed me out, actually...
This is Pat?
Yeah, it's Pat. Updated his own registration online before getting... Because he was so nervous about it.
Had he been partaking of the marijuana as well?
No, just
because that's a bitch. You're high, and you have to go into a police station on your own.
That's Pat Walsh. Do you know?
Yes, I do.
You know Pat.
I was figuring that's who it was. I don't want to say his last name. Why drag him into your little nightmare?
Because he was, but he was.
That was Pat Bation you just did.
He was a good friend. Now check this out. After I was so high on my own supply. It's like, you know what? We're not going to let the man ruin our trip to Vegas. We are still going to Vegas.
Yeah, you are.
That Saturday afternoon, and we just went to Vegas, man. Even though I was in deep.
Did you score a little bit more powder for the trip?
No.
Then you didn't Hunter S. Thompson at that.
No, that's because I'm not.
But you enjoyed the trip to Vegas.
I did.
See, I think that's important, getting back on the horse.
Getting back on the horse, yeah. And it seemed like we had won. You know what I mean? It seemed like we had won.
Did they weigh and measure the powder? What was the
powder,
charge
seriously,
against you?
dude. Well, first off, I said, there's a little rock in the glove.
Yeah.
But he thought I was like crack, which of course in our society means
that's a way different charge.
Yeah. Which, as we know, is not it's not a nicest drug.
Well, but also, white people,
as Whitney Houston said, I don't do crack.
Crack is whack, she said.
Crack is whack.
She did. She actually said that. But the white man smokes the powder, snorts the powder, and the black man smokes the rock, and that's why it's a different penalty because I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but black people are very often targeted for crimes more often.
Whoa. Black
people are more often put into jail in this country.
Yeah. They're more often executed as well.
Yes, quite more often.
This is a black mark, no pun intended, on our culture and society. Thank God for podcasts like this.
Well,
we can start to right these wrongs.
Sadly, I will welcome my one black listener to send me something at Greg Fitzdog, and I don't think I'm getting any mail this week. Podcasting not huge with the African Americans.
You know, it's I found that Tenacious D is not as popular with the African.
Well, that's the thing about let's use this as a transition into alternative comedy. But before we do, I want to give the proper plugs for Mr. Gass.
Thank you.
Go to @GassLeak with the extra S, GASS Leak on Twitter, and also Trainwreck's new album, The Reckoning. In stores now, not later, not tomorrow when he records more. Now, fucking turn this shitty podcast off and go buy yourself Reckoning's new album.
Go to trek.net or Trainwreck with KG.
So you're saying they can continue listening to the podcast as they order the album?
Yeah, they can.
Better plan. Also, performing shows on Trainwreck's Transcontinental Railroad Tour starting September 4th at the Pizia Restaurant, Long Beach. Like to see it kick it off in a more posh Di Piazzas.
This is a very, very Tony.
It sounds like a pizza place.
Restaurant. It is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is Tony the owner? If you want to see Greg Fitzsimmons, do not hesitate to go to the St. Louis Funny Bone.
Why the hell are you plugging your own stuff right now?
Because I don't make money for this podcast. And I like to see a little bit of a back end when I hit bonuses in clubs like the St. Louis Funny Bone.
For you listeners, Greg just removed his glasses and actually looked at me with almost a threatening manner. I just want you to realize that.
Plugbation, Mr. Gass.
Now,
what I just did.
Why did I reveal my arrest? What did you do? How did you...
I have an uncanny ability to get people to say shit they would never say. I had somebody admit that they were gay this past week. Pulled it out and edit without them asking me to. Pulled it out and edit because I felt like, because I know I have a spell. It would be like knowing a girl had taken a roofie and then only going to third base with her. Wow. That's the kind of restraint I show. Can I finish my plugs now?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Jesus Christ, I'm asking him for permission on my own podcast while I talk like Andy Kindler. Go to Fitzdog.com to find out how you can get my new book, Dear Mrs. Fitzsimmons, available on November 9th. Now, let me also make a very big announcement, and this is no small deal. There is a website called DearMrsFitzsimmons.com, or you can access it from Fitzdog.com. On it, you can upload a letter that was sent to your parents or you for fucking up, which is what my book is about. It's letters my mother saved when I fucked up. And if you upload it, each week I will select the best letter uploaded by a user. What will they get, Greg? Well, then fucking wait, and I'll tell you. A Dear Mrs. Fitzsimmons signed book sent to you, and a Fits of Laughter CD signed, Kyle Gass, and also sent to you. So don't be shy. Get in there, scan it, upload it, and wait and see if you're the one.
What an interesting idea for a book. How many times did you fuck up? How long is that book?
Put it this way. It was so bad in high school, my teachers had to send weekly reports, each teacher, because I had the D average and they knew I was going to fail. And so my mother has stacks and stacks, police arrests, letters to my agent as a comedian when I fucked up gigs. A few arrest reports in there. It's good.
Wow.
It's good.
I mean, I don't know you that well. You don't seem like that guy.
That's the key to the book. I say that in the prologue. I say, you look at me and
you seem like a couple of fuck up guy.
Couple of fuck up, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's you're rebellious, you maybe,
I front-loaded the really bad stuff, and then I got out of the business at 24. Haven't had a drink in 20 years.
Wow.
Had a little brush with Vicodin a few years ago.
Yeah.
But that was just a midlife crisis. That's over.
Just a brush.
And I can still get into fistfights. That's where it leaks out.
And how did you cure yourself?
Cure in what sense? Am I happy?
How did you sober up?
White-knuckled it. I wish I'd gone to the program and done it right.
No.
I mean, I feel like a lot of...
they make you believe in God there.
I don't have a problem with God as long as I can define him. Mm-hmm. And I, of course, define him as...
As a white powdery substance?
Yes. So when I go to the Church of the Powdery White Substance in Crenshaw, where there's a lot of ministers on every corner, I find that I can touch God.
It seemed like you felt a little sorry for me when I made my admission. And it seemed like
about being a felon?
Yeah.
No, it actually raised you up in my mind, but I had to recalibrate everything when I heard it. Yeah. I mean, because again, like me, you do not appear to be a felon.
No.
But it gives you credibility in the rock world, and it gives you credibility in the podcasting world.
That kind of credibility I don't need. I'm Mike. Listen, let's just do our thing and nobody gets hurt.
When did you become a mafia guy? I say felon, and all of a sudden you're Tony Soprano?
I don't know what happened.
Let's see, what else can we plug? And again, just Twitter at Greg Fitz Show. Keep them coming. And
that's what
comments.
we can plug.
If you download it on iTunes, please leave comments because they've been stellar. I go there when I'm in a bad mood. I go to iTunes and I read the comments, and the shit people say. I gotta thank you because usually you search yourself on the internet. Maybe you've done the show or something, and you want to get feedback, and people take their dicks out and urinate on your face.
What?
Oh dear.
Who does that? It looks like the boards are lining up.
Well, they're not. Actually, you can take your headphones off. Speaking of which. It's a podcast. Okay. Makes you feel professional.
Why do you want me to take my
Maybe you have
off?
silly ears.
Why don't you have headphones on?
Because, sir...
How can you earsturbate without your headphones?
Well, maybe I'm airstubating right now. Maybe my ears are enjoying some air.
Let's see what it's like. Hold on. Oh, man, life is so boring right now.
God, you have little cauliflower ears. Let's get into alternative comedy because, to me, it's a love-hate relationship I have with it. I know a lot of people listening are probably big fans of...
I didn't know that. Does that still exist? Do they still refer to it?
Unfortunately, it does in the same way that reggae still exists. Bob Marley created it, nailed it, and then got out of the business. And since then, there's been mediocrity just trailing it.
Yeah.
And I think alternative comedy... has become...
would Ziggy Marley really...
Anybody who is in the band, the Wailers, or related to Bob Marley is exempt. There's an asterisk on them.
Yeah.
Short of that, tell me one reggae performer.
Peter Tosh.
He was in the Wailers.
Okay.
Stumped you. You just lost the Fits of Laughter CD I was going to give you after the show.
That was the price.
Let's get to the alternative world because
alternative comedy seemed
you're
like
ass
it was,
deep in it. When it started out here in Los Angeles, and I would put the year at around 1989, 90.
I was going to say 94.
You lost your second Fits of Laughter CD. It was 89. No, 94 is probably, it was probably up and running by then. And you had people like the Margaret Cho's and the Garofalo's and the Dave Crosses and the Ben Stillers. And they were... And I guess Mr. Show and the Ben Stiller Show were both seminal programs that gave credibility to the movement.
What do you think it was an alternative to?
Well, stand-up comedy had been saturated in TV exposure, and people like Bobby Collins could stand in front of a brick wall and talk about a cat, and suddenly America was charmed. And this had a bad effect on comedy clubs because there hadn't been a lot of them.
Yeah. And
they were filled with performers that had not a dream of making it in show business. They were doing it because they loved stand-up and they wanted to be good at it.
What was the motion picture with Sally Field? Punchline.
Yeah, it was Bobcat Goldthwait was in that film, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. And
they had lockers.
They had lockers. As a comedian of 20 years, if with a gun to my head, I wouldn't know what to put in my comedy locker. So Punchline comes out, Evening at the Improv comes out, Comedy on the Road comes out, and a dozen others. And all of a sudden, there was a need just for warm bodies who could do 5 minutes. And people stopped watching the shows. They stopped going to comedy clubs because at first they got so excited they flooded the comedy clubs, and it was supply and demand. There was not enough supply of comedians for the demand of people that wanted to see them live, and people went, hey, this ain't that good. And then it really plummeted. So I think alternative comedy at the peak of stand-up really felt like, hey, let's do our own shit with people that are doing original stuff.
You know what I hated about that sort of comic was it seemed like you had your sort of personal signature. Like, I'm fat and I'm gay. So then my whole act would come out of sort of like a one-note shtick reflection of who that person was.
Yeah, the classic is the fat guy getting on stage, taking the microphone out of the stand, and then moving the mic stand behind him and saying, let me get this out of the way so you can see me. Hardy, har, applause break. And the other one was, and I think I mentioned this on the last podcast, is the structures, the joke structures where it's bump, ba, bump, ba, bam, ba, and it beady but boo boo. Like, there would be like these iambic pentameters of comedy that you could just fill in and just slightly change to make yours. Like, the one I mentioned was, I took this chick home. I started sobering up. I realized she looks like a meatball. I don't know whether to fuck her or cook a plate of linguine. and it was like, well, you should probably just fuck her. I mean, she's in your house. Why would you cook food now? And like they were all highly stressed premises where an ordinary person would hear the premise and go, all of a sudden your mind is spinning of going like, but it wouldn't make sense that you'd go to a Jiffy Lube and try to put your balls in the lift. But then he's doing the punchline and the rest of the crowd is laughing because they don't care. It's the rhythm.
Right, it's the rhythm of it. Yeah, you almost don't need any content with that.
Well, and I guess alternative was all content. It was people that were going to do long-form storytelling, sketches, characters, things.
And bring a notebook on stage.
There's where things went wrong. Because...
And that became the joke.
Yes.
That's alternative comedy.
Yes.
There's a notebook.
And the no transition became funny because the other type of comedy was so linear. And so, like you said, once you've got your shtick, then one joke flows into the next effortlessly because it's the same joke. But with alternative, it was a collection of concepts and that many times that you're doing for the first time. So the notebook became the thing. But it inspired laziness and the same kind of tricks that prop comics and musical comics and fat comics were doing out there were the tricks that you started seeing at the clubs like Largo and Luna Lounge, in coffee shops, is the looking at the notebook and the taking a pause after the bad transition so you could draw a laugh off that, and then the hand that spins forward on the punchline, and the falsetto voice and here's the key. You're doing bad alternative comedy when you lean on the word really as a punchline. You have a premise, you have a turn, and then you have merely the word really in many different ways. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. So Comedy Central just did a roast of David Hasselhoff. Really? And that's all you need. Because it stresses to the listener that this is a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
But yet you're not giving any kind of a detailed beat on how that idea could be taken somewhere that's unique. Mm-hmm. It's just saying, this is ridiculous in that voice as the hands go out. Ba, ba, ba. And it starts becoming a cadence that you first heard with guys like, Jon Stewart or Dave Cross or Patton Oswalt or, people that were doing their voice successfully became the template for all these other people.
Is that where Seth and Amy got their really shtick on SNL, you think?
I've seen that, and I've often wondered if they were being ironic with that, or whether or not enough Americans were familiar with this shortcut that they decided that. And there's intention and there's perception in comedy, and I'll never know what their intention was, but I would say the perception was largely, what a funny twist, what a great device to deliver jokes.
Yeah.
And so, I'm sure their intention was probably to make fun of the comics that do that. So, like anything in performance or art, I think it's somewhat of a failure if your intention is one thing and the perception is another. Because to me, it was a little pandering, but I don't think that they meant it as pandering. But it's like when a great art... Like, say the Eagles. You're from California. The Eagles can suck it. But there was a moment where the Eagles, or the Beach Boys, I said it. Really?
Oh my God.
Really? And I get it. Everyone who I respect their taste about music tells me, no, Beach Boys, Animal Sounds, or whatever it's called, is what's it called?
Pet Sounds.
Pet Sounds is the most important album ever. And I listen to it, it's like, ba, 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 ba. We're going surfing in an old car. Who gives a fuck? Now, again, people hate me for saying this, because podcasts got a lot of Beach Boy fans.
Yeah.
But the Beach Boys did was, they were a seminal group at a particular time. Let's call it 1965.
Early 60s, really.
And then they continued to do that because the fans loved it, and they clamored for it. Bob Dylan, on the other hand, a few years later, emerged as the guy that all the different protest movements clung on to, handed him a banner, and insisted that he march in front of them. And he went into hiding for 2 years, and he came out doing fucking country or gospel or something. Because a real artist, it's only about intention. It's only Randy Newman, another guy, fucking brilliant.
Do you think that it's necessary to reinvent then? Do you think that the artist has to reinvent?
No, I think it's necessary, like George Carlin, to just be true to what's going on in your heart and your soul.
Right.
And I think that if that happens to, run perpendicular to what the audience wants, that's a win-win. But I think that the artist that I love Bruce Springsteen, and he started out as a greaseball Jersey party rocker.
Didn't you like that era?
Loved it.
God, I love that. I love when he was dirty.
Yes.
And greasy and the hat and everything.
The black and white plaid shirt and the
That was good.
And then he turned into a guy who got really into Woody Guthrie and folk. And then he got it, and then to me, the greatest album he ever made was The Rising, which was a political, moving. It was a testament to the tragedy of 9/11.
Yeah.
And now he's doing, he's doing stuff that's, I guess, political, but it's almost a mesh of all those different things.
Yeah.
But it's what he wants to do,
right?
And what feels genuine to him.
It seems like what he wants to do, though, is he still wants to be relevant.
Yes.
And he still wants to sell out arenas. And
And that's what a rock star is, too. I don't think you can... going back to the alternative scene, I don't respect somebody who is a preacher to the converted and who can draw crowds at coffee houses but has kept it real. I don't respect that guy as much as I respect Teddy Pendergrass.
Teddy Pendergrass.
Never heard his music. But to me, it's as important to be incredibly egotistical and need as many people to hear your music. Elvis. Okay. Elvis did what Elvis wanted to do, but he transcended whatever genre he was doing, whether it was like early, what'd you call this kind of music when he started? Rockabilly. Yeah. He is to rockabilly what Bob Marley was to reggae. I mean, there was no rockabilly. There's been this retro rockabilly that I like a lot that's come out recently, like 7 years ago.
Like a Horton Heat type of thing?
Yeah, Horton Heat, or even I'd put some alt country people into that category. But to me, it's like Elvis became somebody who had an insatiable appetite, not just for drugs and women and pleasing his mother, but also for an audience. And so did his manager. Colonel Parker demanded that everyone in the world know who Elvis is. And Elvis was behind him. But at the same time, Elvis chose to do the things that were true to his upbringing and his vision for himself.
I want to be a movie star.
He wanted to be a movie star.
He wanted to be a movie star.
He did.
And he did.
And then what happened?
And then he got fat. He
not just got fat, but I think he got disillusioned with the movie thing. And that's when the most famous rock television moment. Well, I got like 5 of the greatest. One is Elvis Costello being told not to do radio on SNL, doing 2 bars of another song, stopping and doing. Whether or not that was choreographed, we'll never know, but it was a great moment.
Sure seemed like it.
It seemed choreographed?
Yeah.
Don't care. Great rock is. Great rock is. You kidding me? When James Brown
but it was celebrated as a great moment.
It was a statement.
It was, yeah.
But the moment with Elvis was he was doing a Christmas show. Do you remember this?
No.
It was like maybe 1972.
The Hawaii?
No, I think it might have been a Hawaii Christmas. Maybe you're right. No, I think he dressed in all black, and he came out and he delivered this very raw. He was supposed to do all Christmas songs, and instead he did gospel, he did rock, he did a couple of his classics, but it was a statement. Like Brett Favre going to the Minnesota Vikings last year. It was like, I'm not dead, motherfuckers. I'm the best one in the game. Period.
Yeah.
Exclamation point.
God, he was one play away from the Super Bowl.
I know. That killed me.
One play,
Son
dude.
of a bitch.
Just run it,
But
Brad.
you know what it was? It was the goddamn left guard got injured early in the season, and the guy got beaten like a redheaded stepchild.
Yeah.
At his age, he took a lot of hits.
He did.
If he'd had a good line in front of him, the guy would have, there's no doubt he would have gone to the Super Bowl.
Still.
I know.
God, one play.
Hey, shake it off, Kyle.
Shake it off. I know. I'm sorry. I was, Brett really made it fun.
Let's go back.
You're not. I like that you're celebrating the alternative comedy.
Like I said, I have a love-hate relationship.
You have a love, yeah. But ultimately, I feel like you're celebrating it, and because you felt like it was a rejection of that kind of contrived, automatic comedy that was so
well, and I love a lot of the artists. I mean, almost all the artists that started that way, they're my favorite comics. I mean, I love Janine Garofalo.
Yeah.
I think Dave Cross is one of the funniest, smartest guy I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You guys, were you in the very first steps of that, or did you come in a little bit later?
We were doing that thing at the Diamond Club that Laura Milligan and I think David Cross were doing. And I didn't know what the hell was going on. I mean, we were just like actors who kind of, wanted to do the music thing, and then all of a sudden we were just kind of in it. Yeah. So I didn't really have... I remember Will Ferrell doing that Simpatico. I remember that was... do you remember that, like, 3-person group?
Was it Adam McKay and him, or...?
I don't know who the other two guys, but they dressed in, like, bodysuits and did kind of riffs on Cirque du Soleil jokes.
And he was nobody then. He was
totally nobody, and then I remember he got the SNL gig.
Well, was he a groundling or an SCTV guy?
I don't know.
I think he was
a groundling.
I think he was a groundling, yeah. And so he was a local guy, and he was doing sketches?
He was he was part of a 3-man group, but they were, like I said, they wore, like, bodysuits and did funny riffs on circus. And, well, it was kind of a riff on, like, the Blue Man Group, Cirque du Soleil thing.
Yeah.
And I remember he got the SNL, and I remember thinking, like, wow, man, that's going to be hard for him to...
Really?
I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know what,
because of his range or because of the politics?
Just kind of the politics, and then the next week he was doing the cheerleader sketch or something, and then I was like, what? That's the guy that was doing the thing.
That's like Rob, what's his name, who's the UCB guy out here in L.A. Big, tall Marine dude, and he went to The Daily Show, and now he's in a big movie.
Rob Corddry?
No. More recently. Rob Riggle.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. I'd see him at the UCB. Nicest fucking guy in the world.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, he's on The Daily Show. And I'm like, hey, good for him. And then all of a sudden you see him on the big screen. You're like, whoa! Like in 6 months that all happened, you know?
Yeah.
But that's the thing about alternative comedy is it is a protected environment where, I mean, I worked with this kid last week in Atlanta. And what the fuck's his name? Rob Gleason. 22 years old.
Yeah.
Good, solid feature act. 30 minutes of smart material, good physical presence, confidence. He's writing on an internet web show. I mean, the guy's hitting it on all cylinders. And he starts, and I'm talking about. I said, let me give you some unsolicited advice, because I'm famous for giving people unwanted, unsolicited advice. I really am. My mother's the same way. It's a fucking curse. And I say to him, don't do Last Comic Standing. Do yourself a favor, because you know what it is? It's gas on a flame. Man. And you're so far ahead of the game at such a young age, and you have so much to offer. Nurture that, and be poor for a while.
Yeah.
And, follow your heart, and you will go so much further.
Dude, same advice I gave to my bass player, our bass player, John Spiker. Give him a shout out.
You just didn't want him to leave the band.
I didn't want him to leave the band, but great singer, but just the perfect kind of look, the perfect kind of guy for American Idol.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think he actually, some people like, I want to take you to lunch because we want you to be on American Idol. It's probably the most contrived show out there. And, he didn't want to do it, to his credit. I mean, he plays every instrument, great singing voice, producer, does it all. It's like, don't do that. It seems like a shortcut, but it's a shortcut to hot cheese and oblivion. It's just...
That's a great name for an album. Shortcut to hot cheese and oblivion.
Yeah, and you just can't do it. But that's kind of the Warhol world that we live in, where now it really is.
Well, it is, but
minutes.
I don't think it is. I think that it's the colored slide that's been put in front of the projector right now. I don't even follow that metaphor.
No.
What I'm saying is, Kyle, and don't ever cross your arms and look off into the distance like you're thinking.
But I'm ready to think about the colored slide.
All right, let's take a second and think about that.
The colored slide. Explain, Greg.
What I'm saying is there's a white light that comes, and that's life, right? And much like the Taoists think, there is a white light that is all good and that's energy and that flows. Your job is to let go of all things material and worldly and transcend to become part of that white light. Now, sometimes corporate America or Hollywood will take a colored frame and put it in front of that light, and it will change the color of the light. But you have to see it's not red. It's still a clear white light. I have to focus on that. Or there's the archetype theme of the shadows on a cave wall, where do we ever really know reality, or can we only glimpse at the diffracted, darkened images on the cave wall? Can we get closer?
I don't think so.
I think this podcast gets right up against it. My point is, I think that one person's using the other in Hollywood or probably business,
right.
And you got to always make sure that, you know, sometimes it's symbiotic, and that's great. But, you know, like say you get a sitcom. Yeah. You're an artist, but at the same time, you're an artist that's about to make $30,000 an episode.
Well, you know, I had that experience, Greg. I had that experience. I was under the... well, first of all, I love what you say about the white light. I think that's really a beautiful thing.
Did you write that down, Chaffee?
No, I wish. I want that taped.
No, I mean the fact that a guest said they liked something I did.
Got it.
Okay.
But I came to L.A. To be an actor, really. And I'm
sorry, not to stop down, but you're in the Actors Gang, which, if people don't know, Tim Robbins helped form an acting company.
Yeah.
Here in Los Angeles, which has had some of the greatest talents, and I've gone to see a lot of their shows, often political.
Yeah. It was definitely...
and you were a founding player in that.
Yeah, we started that, after UCLA, and, sort of, we were all... There's actual theater department at UCLA, and it seemed like, wanted to do something meaningful, and we did. That's why I chose them. But as an actor, I thought... Wow, I want that $30,000 an episode. I think that would be... In fact, I even visualized Pre-Secret. It's like, what do I lived over in Studio City. I want to work right across the street at MTM. Yeah. I want to walk to work on a nice sitcom where I play like a neighbor. Or I'm not the lead guy. I'm just the guy. I'm just I'm the sidekick
Show
guy.
shit's the bed. It's not on you.
Yeah, totally. And then, of course, what happens... I get that job.
Ooh.
I get that
job. And did this come through an audition, or you had a deal and then you were put into it?
Which is very unusual. I'm the worst. That's another reason. Why am I'm the worst auditioner ever. I go into a flop sweat every time I'm in there. It doesn't matter if the part pays $10 an hour. For some reason, it's training. I just get flop sweat. I can't
So
audition.
There's good actors and there's good auditioners.
Yeah. Right.
I believe that.
I believe that, too. Sometimes they meet, I think.
Well, there's guys that are good at hitting on girls, and there's guys that are good at fucking them. And with the Jersey Shore, you see both at the same time.
Well, we got to get into Jersey Shore, because I was so worried about the show. And then I finally tune in to the second season, I guess. And they have them working at an ice cream store.
Yep. Gelato. Not ice cream. They're Italian.
Yeah. A gelato. And I thought, you know what? They've retained the integrity. Because I was worried, they're all celebrities now. They're not going to be able to possibly get that same
They're going to raise their goals. Nope.
Yeah.
Gelato shop.
I think that the season opener for the show did twice the number of Mad Men, just to give a little context for how popular it's gotten compared to Good Culture.
Really?
TV.
And so their salaries, there was huge salary negotiations before season 2.
Yeah, what was it? They were going to pay him $3,000?
And all the gelato they can eat.
Yeah. What an amazing, amazing show, though. Really.
Speaking of which...
Yep.
You know our good friend Matt Besser from the UCB Theater.
Just ran into him on Fryman Trail yesterday.
Well, Matt Besser is one of the founding members of the UCB. He, Amy Poehler, and
Matt Walsh.
Matt Walsh, and there was one other person.
And Matt...
There's a lot of Matts.
No, and the other guy.
Yes, and the other guy, I forgot about him.
Funny.
But Matt is a big fan of the show and sends in, I do a little bit that's called Half a Man.
Half a man. Carbon copy. Clone duplicate. Indistinguishable lookalike.
It's taking two people that could occupy the same place in your psyche in Hollywood. One example that would describe it, Mike, would be, say, Sandra Bernhardt and Andy Dick. Or perhaps another one would be...
Gary Busey and Nick Nolte.
Yeah. People that, if you saw them in a movie, it would be the credits that you'd notice which one was in it.
Right.
And you wouldn't care.
Right. Who's the guy that was My Bodyguard? Remember that guy?
You had a bodyguard?
No, the movie My Bodyguard.
Whitney Houston. Kevin Costner.
No, not the bodyguard. My body.
Scott Baio?
No.
Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
He played the bodyguard.
Sam Simon.
No.
James Dixon?
No.
Yelling out every name I've ever heard.
But go on with this.
All right, can I get to the point I was heading towards? Before you took us down the cul-de-sac of who cares? These are the ones Matt Besser has sent in some half-a-mans as he's started to do every week. And this might become Matt Besser's half-a-man because his are so good, I can't justify doing other ones. And I thought of it because he did 2 Jersey Shore ones. One is The Situation. You know The Situation?
Sure.
His name, if you don't watch the show,
it's Mike.
The gentleman's taken the liberty of changing his name from Mike to not Situation, The Situation.
Yeah.
Which is genius. And at least in every episode, they have him, just to celebrate his name, like calling for pizza and going, name, and he goes, The Situation. and then it's The Situation. Like getting angry at people.
Yeah.
So his half-a-man is Pauly Shore on steroids, which is outstanding. And the other one was Snooki, who, if you don't know Snooki or Schnooky,
no.
Schnooky is the plump one. You know how
super orange.
She sprays herself with a bag of Cheetos before going out every time, and she is the girl who tells the hot girls that they're right when they're in a fight with their girlfriend, with their boyfriend, and she's the one who is there. She's there for the guys. If one of them's drunk enough and despondent enough,
they smush.
They will still smush Snooki.
They smush.
If they've been out,
and I was shocked to hear that she was just arrested for disorderly conduct.
Yes, she was arrested.
Surprising.
No,
she was drinking in the middle of the day.
No.
What?
Oh wait, maybe you're right. Then there was another guy. Oh, the juice head, the biggest gorilla juice head, was just arrested Ronnie was arrested for not paying parking tickets.
Ronnie. You can see I'm not fronting here.
No, you're in it to win it.
No.
So Schnooki.
How do you arrest someone for parking tickets? By the way, is this an overreaction?
I think because the ratings were down and they needed a publicity stunt, so they dropped a dime on her.
He's so cynical.
But what's the word for when they go out to the clubs? They're out looking for women. They call it...
getting strange?
No, it's one word. Whatever it is. If you go out and you fail...
You get a grenade.
Worse than a grenade. If you can't even knock down a grenade, you come back and Schnooki's there for you. She's the one. Yeah. She's hanging ass. She's hanging her ass out with a beer on top of it and a gag on as if I won't say anything. That's who Schnooki is. So here's her half-a-man from Matt Besser. Schnooki and Oompa Loompa. Yep.
Yeah.
Oompa Loompas, different colors, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see the new Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Why?
Because...
No, I mean, why would anyone go see it?
Because Johnny Depp looked like he had some sort of mental illness. I don't know.
Why is Johnny Depp doing films that don't need to be done? Legend of Sleepy Hollow?
Well, why would you do that?
Well, I mean... There's movies...
I heard a lot of complaints about it, but let me just finish my point. Yeah. I heard that they CGI'd multiple Oompa Loompas. And that's not what the world needs. Am I wrong?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we don't need to blow money, lining the pockets of another physically challenged person. Throw him a fucking day job.
Yeah. Why would you do that? Anyway.
It's like when they used to use Italians to play the Indians in those old westerns. First let's commit genocide, then let's keep moving them to worse and worse pieces of land. Then when we make a movie about it, we won't even give them a job.
No, I know.
Fuck.
Man, we are so lucky. We got to count our blessings.
Believe me.
I suggest we make a gratitude list.
Okay, let's do it. Let's go back and forth. I will challenge you.
Yeah.
Let's see who runs out first. That's the person who's the shittiest.
Okay.
I'm going to start. Beautiful wife.
My parents are wonderfully still alive.
I'm in great health.
I have money in the bank.
I have more money in the bank than Kyle Gass.
How would you know that?
I won. You just didn't say one. You're a piece of shit.
Oh my God!
Now let's get to what I really wanted to talk about. You didn't give me your take on alternative comedy, because I feel like podcasting has a probably pretty good proportion of alternative, if not comedians, fans out there who are followers of these guys. And again, Brian Posehn was just in here, and I respect him because he can play both sides of the plate.
I'm like you. Those are those have been my favorite comics for a while. Your Patton Oswalds and your Paul F. Tompkins and your David Crosses and your Jillian Garofalos. And
does the jobs that they take as a result of their buzz from the alternative world affect how you see them and respect them? In other words, if somebody's known for going on stage and doing rants about the establishment and the phoniness of Hollywood, and then they take a sitcom that is...
Right. I am a little bothered, but what you're bringing up is the time-honored art-commerce debate, which will never go away. I mean, we have to make a living, but we're in the business of creativity, so at some point it's always going to be some kind of compromise.
Yeah.
The only purest form is what you're doing right here is the podcast.
It feels pure. I love it.
Yeah.
No notes.
No.
And the great thing is it's building. I mean, each week we get more listeners, and I mean, can I say the number? We get a pretty large number. We're getting over 30 to 40,000 people on each episode.
And if they all went to trec.net and ordered The Reckoning, wouldn't that be a wonderful testament to your popularity?
That was a great example of the art versus commerce. You took my art and you turned it into your commerce.
I did. But on purpose and with intent.
Because, again, it does a 360, because once they buy that CD and listen to it, they're getting some pure art.
Yeah.
So art brought you to commerce, which brought you back to art.
Yeah, which true. Am I disappointed when a favorite alternative comic does a bad sitcom?
Kyle Gass, for the record, just made quote marks with his fingers. Continue.
Oh my God! I hate that too!
That is as bad as the really punchline.
The alternative comic. Yeah, we're always disappointed when that happens, aren't we?
Worst example of it in your mind?
What?
The example that sticks out is saying, wow, why? Or, really?
Really? Well, I wouldn't.
All right, let's play Rank 'em. This is a game I play on my show often. I give 3 things, you rank them.
Okay.
Bob Odenkirk doing a Bud Light commercial.
Did he do it?
Dave Cross playing a voice in Alvin and the Chipmunks.
The Squeakquel?
Both. Which makes it unfair.
Yeah.
And Margaret Cho playing All-American Girl.
From what, top to bottom?
Doesn't matter. Rank them.
Rank them.
Not here to make rules.
The worst would have to be Bob doing the Bud Light. And then I would say Dave doing the Squeakquel. And then All-American Girl. Because she's like the star of the show. Which she was probably trying. I think she probably had good intentions going.
And just for the record, I'm not 100% that it was Bud Light that Bob did, but I believe it was a beer commercial.
I'm pretty sure it was Bud Light.
It's a big network
I think
commercial.
I did remember that, and sort of meaning...
he was the commissioner, I believe, was the character.
Yeah.
He was playing.
Yeah, I remember those.
But like you said, you balance it. I mean, there's a lot of actors that very seamlessly go from... Johnny Depp, I mean, doing the Pirates movies, but then going off and doing, a more alternative French film, or I only watch the blockbusters, Kyle.
Speaking of, can we just touch on The Expendables and how it crushed?
Number 1 at the box office this week.
Was anyone surprised?
I was. I'll say that.
I was really surprised.
I can't wait to see the movie.
I thought it'd be the funnest and a movie to see, like, with your bros, and just go and just have a great time.
Yeah.
And just laugh at the fun.
Yeah. So what is this, an ad for the fucking Expendables?
I don't know, but then I was surprised.
You wanted to talk about it, and then you really have nothing to say about it except that you're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And Mike's saying the same thing. Neither one of you has seen it, and now we've chewed up about a minute of precious podcasting time, so you can kind of talk around that you both kind of like it.
Well, here the great movie
and
out
now
this
you're
weekend
continuing.
was Scott Pilgrim. It did just as much marketing money.
Yeah.
Great, awesome movie. I saw it.
No, I never heard of it. What's that?
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah, you said the title.
It's the Michael Cera vehicle comedy.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright directed.
Michael Cera's not box office, even though he's great and people love him, and he's not a guy who can pull people in.
Best movie I've seen in a long time. Only did 10 mil.
Let me send a message out.
Did you find it a little long?
No, I thought it was perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to send a message out to Michael Cera, who I've met, by the way. I was doing stand-up when he was just starting on Arrested Development.
Greatest guy.
Nicest kid. He's got his mother with him in the audience.
Yeah.
He's probably 17 at this point or whatever.
Yeah.
And I have a nice long talk with him. Let me send a message to you, Michael, if you're listening. And again, unsolicited, unwarranted advice from Greg Fitzsimmons, who's way less successful or talented than yourself. Just do second banana rolls, because you don't want to get forced into that. Who's the guy who did the movie where he gets married to a black woman on a horse in the final scene? Nerdy, geeky movie.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Just take background roles. You're not going to carry a movie, and even if you do, what's the difference? You can go out. Look at Cameron Diaz. You know, she never is the name on the marquee. She goes out. She works. When you work like that, you go 3 or 4 weeks on the set. You're done.
Well.
You're instead of getting $8 million, which you could probably get to lead. Maybe she gets 3. Oh, what are you going to miss the other 5? Are you going to be out at a restaurant and go, fuck, I'd like to tip you, but I didn't make that extra $5 million.
Isn't it natural, though, to be ambitious and want to, be able to carry a movie? I mean,
balancing art and commerce, Kyle Gass. We're back to it. To me, an ensemble cast very often says arty to me.
Yeah.
A lead role in a big budget often says, we're going to travel through time and play with swords. All right, we got to wrap this up because Kyle Gass, you've been great, but this is one of the longer podcasts we've ever done.
Really?
And I feel like it could go all night.
It could.
Instead, we'll wrap it up. CD doesn't have much more space time. Oh, that's the message saying we have to block it up. Now, let's go to, once again, the plugs in case you didn't hear them earlier. Please follow Craig Gass. Craig Gass.
What?
Kyle Gass. There's a Craig Gass who is he does impressions on the Howard Stern Show.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle Gass, however, is at GasLeak on Twitter. 2 S's in Gas. Trainwreck website, trainwreckwithg.com, and get their album, The Reckoning. It's in stores now, or go on iTunes or the thing I said earlier. Performing shows in Trainwreck's Transcontinental Railroad Tour starting September 4th at Di Piazza Restaurant in Long Beach. Very renowned, respectable place. If you enjoy my comedy, go to the St. Louis Funny Bone Thursday, August 19th through Saturday, August 21st. Fitzdog.com for details. Also, please visit DearMrsFitzsimmons.com. Check out the letters that have been uploaded that are hilarious from people who got in trouble. These are letters to your mother, maybe to you when you fucked up. And it is an opportunity for you to get involved, comment on them, upload your own stuff, and it's a chance to pre-order Dear Mrs. Fitzsimmons at BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon.com, and there's another one up there. We don't want to forget to leave out our good friend and producer, Mike Chaffee, who wants to plug his podcast.
Check out my podcast, Low Budget FM. Go to lowbudgetfm.com.
Thank you very much.
Can I be on that show, Mike?
Yeah, I bet he
Absolutely.
can. There you go.
Done and done.
And Jimmy Schubert will be my guest on Monday. Thank you again for listening. Thank you to our intern, Brian Mayer, who's inside. And coming up next week on the show, Jimmy Schubert. Other big guests coming soon after that. God bless America.